What is going on, Panthers Nation? Carolina Dad here. It's been an eventful 2 or 3 weeks. We've had some straggler free agent signings coming through, so I thought it's the perfect time for us to sit down, take a look at the free agents that have signed, those players that have left the team, been released, and those that are still on the market. Let's jump right in. You can find this information available directly on Panthers Wire by USA Today. Let's go ahead, take a look. Talked about this, securing really both sides of the line, but guard Robert Hunt signed. Damian Lewis, Ashawn Robinson, defensive tackle, Josie Jewell, Deontay Johnson, Dane Jackson, DJ Wonham, Kalavon Chasen, Jordan Fuller, Yash Nijman, David Moore, Nick Scott, and Jadeveon Clowney. So these are all new players that were not with the team last year. Who's gone? These are players that have been released. So Hayden Hurst, I know he found his home. Bradley Bozeman, Von Bell, Frankie Louvu, of course, Brian Burns, Ettore Gross-Matos, Jeremy Chin, Dante Jackson, David Sharp, Giovanni Ritchie, Shaquille Griffin, Camus Grugier-Hill, CJ Henderson, and Deshaun Williams, who just signed with the Buffalo Bills. Let's talk about who's staying. JJ Jensen, Troy Hill, Amir Smith-Marset, Raheem Blackshear, who was tendered a contract, officially signed, Sam Franklin Jr. So who's actually left out on the market? Defensive lineman Henry Anderson, DJ Chark, Jalen Dalton, Marquise Haynes Sr., Gabe Jackson, Mac McCain, Justin McCray, Laviska Shenault, and Chris Wormley. Now, when I go and I look at these acquisitions, I see a lot of good, whole lot of good. And I've kind of talked about where I sit as a fan and as a podcast creator, like the divide. The fan inside of me wants to get really excited about this team. The podcaster wants to keep things realistic just because I've been here, done that. But part of me wanting to keep things realistic on my expectations for this season, it just has to do with the seat that I sit in. Because where I sit, if I tell folks, hey, this team's going to be really good, and they turn out bad, people come back and say, oh, you're terrible. Or if things just don't go the way that they should. And that's part of the reason when I sit here and think about being a podcaster, I hate making predictions for games because, of course, I want to win and I hate to get fans down. But, going back and looking at last year, there were quite a few games where, yeah, we knew the Panthers weren't going to be in it, especially as things got rolling. But as a fan, when I put on my fan hat, there is absolutely every reason in the world to be optimistic about this team, to feel like they're going to be competitive. You go and look at the roster and where it is today, looking at the new acquisitions that have been brought in, the draft that we're going to have, and I would think we could get 2 or 3 starters out of that group, potentially. I mean, you've got 2 picks within the top 40. I know we don't have the first round pick, but I really like the way this team is being built. I know some folks are going to say, well, with Jadeveon Clowney, he's a little bit older. I think having him here in Carolina is good for a few reasons. One, I know he's a Carolina guy, Carolina native, gets to be close to home. But I'm not going to say it's exactly the same, but it gives me similar vibes to when Julius Peppers came back home. Again, don't want to get the two confused, but I think he can bring some of that energy. And I think a lot of these other guys who've been on successful winning teams can bring that along with them, as well as Canales. I heard Adam Thielen on the Kay Adams show, who he didn't really want to go into detail, but talking about what Bryce had to deal with this past year. And hopefully this is like a true reset. And like everyone's packed up and moved, and Tepper's not even in the building. At least we hope. Maybe he's there just to sign the checks, right? But I hope that's the situation that we're in. But I'll tell fans, I think it's okay to lean on the edge of feeling like this team should be better than last year, but much better. Now, what is much better? I think much better depends on your thoughts as a person. Like, do you think much better is 6 wins, 7 wins? Do you think much better is competing for the division? I mean, those things are up for you. Where we sit right now is a lot of folks, a lot of media kind of coming around on Bryce a little bit, not a ton. Well, you have most folks that are just down on the Panthers, just like, the Panthers are not going to be good. But I went back and pulled the over under predictions last year for Vegas. So looked at the bottom five. So teams that were supposed to be the worst. Three of the five teams that were projected to be the worst teams this past year made the playoffs. Rams, Bucks, and Texans. It's right there in front of us. It's right there in front of the Carolina Panthers. And people, it's not like we have a rookie quarterback. We have a quarterback that's been in the league for a year. We shored up the offensive line. The defense is stout. You've got the depth. That's the thing. If you can stay healthy, the depth of this team is what will help propel them. What will help us, or help them, I should say, be competitive. All we need to do is put up a few more points. You had one of the worst offenses in the league as far as points per game, one of the worst in Panthers history. If you can just put up a few more points, hold on to the ball a little bit longer, get into games where you actually lead in the fourth quarter, there are things that will open up for this team. And I'm not here to, say hop on the train right now, but I am kind of, revving up the engine. And I think that's just the joy of doing this and why I do this. And I think there's a lens where I can look at it and, feel confident about what this team is doing, but then also realizing like, okay, you're gonna actually have to prove it for us and the fan base until things work out. So, anyways, that's my optimistic view looking out. Would love to know your thoughts on the free agent acquisitions and how things shake out. Have a good one.